you a lot of feature. It helps you enlarge vertically. It helps you enlarge horizontally. And it helps you enlarge in either direction also, both vertically and horizontally. And in all directions. What does it do when I do it from here? It keeps the opposite vertex at the constant place. That is, this point of the figure does not change. The rest of the figure is increased. See. And if I do it from here, what do you expect? That this vertex will remain at this position. And same way, if I click this, the lower right vertex will not change. Just like that. So, but this is a very easy tool to make your enlarge or do changes one after drawing. But there is a slight catch that will come a bit later. What is another feature is, the moment I do a single select over this, these features come where you can enlarge. You need to click on this once more. On the figure, selected figure once more. You see the icons now changing. What does these things do? It gives you now angular shifts. Earlier it was giving you vertical, horizontal or along diagonal abilities to increase your figure. This gives you angular shift. This helps to change the angle. You can rotate the figure as you like to. So this is just giving you different kind of flexibility. So these are angular shifts and it can be done at all the vertices. Wherever you have this kind of icon defined, you can easily do this. Is it okay? Everyone, are you able to follow till now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So these are the various options you can do in select. But there is a catch while doing this. Let me just try to enlarge it once more. Just keep a brief mental image of this figure and I enlarge it, say this much. Do you notice any change apart from the figure being enlarged? Any of you? Any of you, do you notice any change apart from the figure getting enlarged? So I guess if none of you are responding, your answer may be no. However, it would have been nice to confirm that anyway. But one thing I believe, let me just go back to the original figure. How do? I do Control Z to undo the change. And just notice the line width. This is the line width here. The line thickness, I mean. Do you now see the line thickness changed? Has the line thickness changed now?
Yeah.
So just enlarging this figure, it actually thickens the line at the same time. You would not want that, especially when you have a lot of lines in your figure, the different lines to be of different thickness. So that is one of the problem with this feature. So if you need to avoid that and still want to get it big, there is an alternate way. But this is one drawback, and you need to keep in mind that if you enlarge it by just this stretch and stretch button, then you will have to take care of the line thickness later. How to take care of line thickness? I'm coming to it in some time. I just want to show you the alternate feature. So instead, go to this where it edits the paths by nodes. So I choose this second option, and the moment I select, you see the different nodes getting defined. And what is the advantage? Now I shall just, so now it is a bit more painful, especially in this kind of figure, because you will have to enlarge. In order to enlarge the figure, you will have to do it by every line. Every node you will have to redefine. I will have to stretch and drag it to the way that I want the final picture to be. But the advantage is that the figure line width do not change. It just redefines the nodes at different positions of the figure. That's all. So this is one advantage. However, in a figure like this, where I have so many different lines in different directions, this feature is quite inconvenient. I would rather have done this using this feature. I would rather stretch it here and then change the line width. That's all. However, here in just a straight line, I will just choose this. I will just choose this to extend. This is the advantage. So different things come helpful under different circumstances. So once this line width has now changed. So how to change the line width again? So you see this fill, stroke, these icons here. These are basically shortcuts. So double left click on this, and once you double left click, this window will open up, which will give you an enlarged view of the fill, stroke, stroke style, stroke paint, and stroke style. What is fill? Fill is obvious. It defines how the filling of your figure is. Now, when you have a figure like this, which is an open surface, filling makes no difference. This is no fill. I choose something like this. Well, this part gets filled up. It defines, there is some algorithm by which it fills this up. And this is just a shading of the fill up. So these are very useful to make nice figures. And there are different kinds of fillings that it uses. And as of now, I will just do no fill. And this is the stroke paint, which is quite obvious that what you want the color of the lines to be. And what the stroke means the lines that you have drawn. So it will change the color of the lines. So if I want to make it red, as of now, what it is, RGB, this defines by the RGB value. So RGB all 0 means it will be black by default. And on top of it, there is a shade for the opacity of the black. For example, the black here is fully opaque. I make it like this, even the black is hardly visible. The black is partially visible, it's less opaque. So this is just a drag and use button where you can change the opacity of the lines. If you want to make it red, just make the red mark more. So even red with different, these are 8-bit color indices. So you have different shades of red even. You will have maroon, you will have very dark red, crimson red, and followed by very bright red. You mix red and green together, you will start to get blue. So this is how it will look like. It will start from orange and go towards blue. And moment I also incur blue to it, I'm sorry, not blue, I'm very sorry. You start to get yellow, not blue. I'm very sorry. And once I put both RG and B, what do you expect it to be? Anyone? If I also put the blue color along with it? No, not black. If RGB, all the three things are almost equally present, it's white.
Oh, white.
Correct. So it consistently fits with the ideas of fundamental colors that we study in 10th standard physics. So you can choose the colors based on this way. And accordingly, you can set different colors for different points. This is quite easy to do. So these are some of the very good features. I want to make it green. I just only make the green very large value, and depends on the number, depends on the shade value. I can get different shades of green. This will be very light green. I want to get a darker green. I should put lesser shade of value. So these are just some easy use of the software to make your figures more visually attractive. And this helps eventually. And you start to get blue and green mixed up in a sea blue kind of color and all these things. Well, for the moment, I would rather leave it to a dark green kind of thing. Okay. And then comes this stroke style. So what does this
hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I mean, there is you can change this color, flat colors, na? So you can change the selection of color via wheels or HSL, or so that is more convenient, I mean, for selecting color. So if you just go to that wheel, no, not over the top.
Correct. Yes.
Not that.
This one you are saying, right?
No, not that. Over the top, that RGB is written, na?
Yeah, okay, wheel. Yeah. Yes. This is also there, correct. You are saying about this, Kevin?
Yeah. So all colors are here. So you can just simply choose the color and then gradient also from that triangle.
Correct. So you can choose the basic color from the point on the circle. Say I want it to be green, close to blue like this. And then inside, once you select a particular color, different shades of it can be selected by clicking on the different areas inside the triangle. This is also possible, correct? So these are various ways to put it. So all these things, there are different ways to put it. So this RGB is the basic thing. So once you select something on the wheel, you see the RGB is automatically set to the value such that this color will be produced. So this is also another feature of it. So these are very useful. And on top of it, you can blur it. So the moment I start to make it blur, it almost disappears once I do so much blurring. And you see, eventually it starts to come. It blurs out very quickly. Even with 2% blurring, you can see it's quite well blurred. And 0% blurring means it's absolutely visible. It's completely transparent. Is it okay? Okay. Then I will go to the stroke style. Now stroke style has this where you can change the width. You can see that the width is set in a different kind of units. There is something called px, there is pt, pc, there are different units. So usually we try to define it in mm, centimeter, meter, but whatever unit be, it has to look good. So that's the thing. So I do it is say in px and say I want to reduce, slightly increase this. So let me make it say 2.5. It was originally 1.9. So you see the line thickness has increased now. I may want to reduce it slightly, 1.25. You can see that the line width has decreased now. So this is the way. So whatever you do, make sure you choose a common unit for all the lines of your figure so that it looks uniform. Then, and you can do this very easily for all the lines. So I select this line, the features of this accordingly come up. See in px unit it's 1. So I also want to make it say 1.25. Now both these lines are of the same thickness. This was, yes, 1.25 and 1.25. Now what if I want to put a marker, say a arrow at the end of the line? So this marker usually comes in the start marker, mid marker, end marker.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt again.
Yes.
I mean, this Neeraj has internet issues. So is anyone is able to record this meeting? Kaustav, are you able to record it? I'm not showing this record.
No. It will not give you a record option for general accounts, Google Meet. Okay, you may have to do it from the institute.
So anyone can record it with some other software or so? Yeah, sure. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, that will be helpful. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, shall I continue then? Okay, so this is the line. So suppose I have now made the line width okay, and I want to put as an arrow at the end of the line. So what should I do? So this is very important. So this start marker, mid marker, and end marker, these are defined with respect to the start marker is where the first node was defined, and the end marker is where the last node was defined. In this case, it's very obvious. We started from here and we drew up to here. So start marker, anything I put will put a marker here, and end marker will put a marker here. Let's check. So start marker, say I want to put an arrow on the left hand side. And for example, well, this is what I expected it to. There is now the arrows, line, width, all these things, there are different variations and you can play around. Even you can make the arrows to be in the opposite direction if you want to. Just some features. Not saying you will always need to. So a lot of choices are there. So something like this, all these things you can do. These are the most common things that we usually use in a drawing for our purpose. There are lots of things that the software can do. This is up to exploration about this. And if you by mistake have put anything and want to revert, you can just select none. It will put nothing. And on the end marker, similarly, it's quite obvious that on the end marker, it will also put accordingly the markers. What is important is that the markers, the look of the aesthetics should be very important. That I should not choose a line and then say, put a marker like this. This does not look good at all. The line width and the marker is hardly visible in the size of the figure. So if the figure is something quite big, your markers should be proportionately big, but not too big so that it again looks very awkward. The thing is, it should look as if it has been drawn with a good amount of sense and cleanliness. That is very important. So these are some of the things that I hope you will all be able to judge it based on your own understanding. And so this is the thing. So any of you, if I put a end marker on this figure, where it will put a marker? Any of you? On which node it will put a marker? Okay, let me draw another line. I draw this line. Now you have seen me drawing. Where if I now select end marker for this line, where will it put a marker? Which of the nodes, the top node or the bottom node? Where will it put a marker? Let me just keep it on the side. Yeah. Any of you? Yeah. I hope my question was audible, right?
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Yeah. So if I now try to put a start marker, where on which node it will put the marker, on this node or this node? Yes, on the top node, because I started drawing from there. Let's see, correct. On the top node, because I started drawing from there. That was the first node. So I hope some of you are actually getting it. And okay, so apart from these things, this is just about basic drawings and basic about straight lines and so. And now well, due to some reason it has got hang. Let me just see. Okay, so due to some reason it hanged, and I will just restart. Okay, so So now we have got a bit clear about drawing straight lines, arrows, and changing line weights, enlarging. Now all these things, the common features, the changing color, the changing line weight, and changing all these things work with all kinds of shapes. Now let's try to draw a circle. Well, you have to select the circle mode. It's very easy. You have to select the circle mode and you have to select a point from where you want to start, and you see the circle coming in. Now you have to just drag to enlarge it. Keep the left click. Don't release the left click. So I will restart again. I will select the circle mode. I will make one left click and don't release it and keep on dragging. So that will create the circle. It may create an ellipse. It may create the ellipse. If you want to make it a circle, you may not reach a point where it makes a circle. So it is you'll have to make a judgment on whether it is perfectly a circle or not and do accordingly. Well, that is not the case. If you want to draw an ellipse, this is the way it should be. If you want to draw a circle, it's actually easier to draw a circle. You'll keep on in the circle mode and click and then put control. The moment you click control and drag, you have to hold on control while you are dragging. So if I drag and see, it does not create an ellipse. It always keeps it in a circle. So this is the advantage. If you want it to be a circle and not an ellipse, click hold, press hold and then drag and it will become a circle. Is it clear to everyone? Yeah. So this is the way you should be doing to draw a circle. The same thing happens with boxes also. So if you do just the same thing, if you just draw a box, left click and do not release the left click and drag, it will create a rectangle in general. It will create a rectangle. And the same thing now if you do with while pressing hold, it will now give you, while pressing control, it will now give you a square. So in order to draw squares and circles, which are special cases of ellipses and rectangles, make sure you press the hold. Now you notice something about the shape of this rectangle, that these vertices are curved, right? Even in the case of the square. So if you look at it, there are several options. See, if you go to this select, all it tells you is how you can drag to enlarge or make it shorter this way. So it was, just a minute, I'm getting one call, an urgent call. Just a minute. I will just.
Yeah, hello. Not restarting means not getting. Magic Brick plus plus. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're using which version of Windows? Windows 8 or Windows 10 on you are using? I think I have to look at it personally because I yet not, I mean, till now I have not got any error in any PC. So I just have to look at it out personally. So by the time what you can do is that you can install a fresh version from online. It's a open source free software. So from the internet you can download it and install it, and then you can, there is a text extension is also available freely. So you can separately download it and install it. So that you can do. But the error which you are saying, I don't know how to
So
solve.
yeah, I'm back. Yeah. So I think some discussion is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Yuvraj, after this discussion, we'll take that.
Yeah, Yuvraj, you can tell what is the issue. No matter. No problem.
I mean, yeah.
What is it? What error is it showing? Okay, so you do not have some DLL in your computer. That DLL is so you'll have to download that DLL and put it in the appropriate location and restart your computer. It will resolve that issue. Yeah. Okay. So you see that this was originally a square. Now while trying to enlarge it, it has by mistake become a rectangle. So this is something we want to avoid. So once it is a square, while also enlarging, keep the control pressed. It will enlarge it as a square only. That's the advantage. So
yeah, one more thing you can do is that you can lock that pattern in a over the top. You can see that X, Y, W things is there, na? Yeah.
yes, yes.
There's a lock, but there's a symbol of lock.
Correct.
Yeah. So from there you can freeze that frame. I mean, freeze that pattern.
Correct. Now it will change it accordingly. So these are some of the things that you can experiment out with. I'm just showing you the basic features. And then, so we are still not done with the curved vertices. So what you will need to do once you go to this edit path by nodes, you see these 3 different nodes are coming. So these 2 nodes are very obvious. You want to enlarge the figure, drag on these nodes. This was the start node and this was the end node. So you drag and the other vertex remain fixed. You drag one vertex, the opposite vertex position does not change. That's how it enlarges. What is the role of this vertex or this marker? This marker decides the shape of the vertices. So if I put it at this point, that means it's just a sharp vertex. It just is a 90-degree sharp turn vertex. The moment I drag it, it gives you round edge vertex and it can go as long as up to the middle point. It basically tells that how the lines, the horizontal and the vertical lines, how they merge and do a seamless transition. So if you just click like this, it's just a square vertex. And if you want slight curvature at the vertices, you should drag this along this direction to control the amount of curvature on your vertices. Is it okay? And similar to the case of lines, I can again do all these things, change of color and all these things here. Here fill makes more sense. Let me show you. Once I fill, the interior gets filled and that too in different kind of designs. All these things, as again I'm saying, this may or may not come useful for your case, but it may sometime turn out to be an useful thing. And once you introduce a fill, again it gives you a color, choice of color, how the fill should be colored. Say I want the interior to be pink or blue, say. So I choose it and this is how I first choose the basic color in the circle and then within the triangle I control its shade. And so this is how, say this kind of blue I want along with a gradient. So this is how I should select. I have selected the color and then a linear gradient from left to right. And what does the stroke pen tell you? Stroke pen tell you the color of the stroke. That is for, in this case, the boundary of the square is drawn here. So for example, this is by default in red. What if I want to make it, say, absolutely black? So then I will have to just do this. I'll have to click black and it will automatically get you the black color. So I hope it is clear quite. And all these things apply for all the shapes, not only for a square, but also for a rectangle. You can do the very same, for a circle, you can do the very same things also. I put in a fill, it gets filled. I first choose the color. And if I want a different shade of the color, say this, and then I want to do a stroke. I want to change the stroke color to something darker. I have already selected the color. I should just now change the stroke. And in the same way, I can change the stroke color to anything I want. And just a recap, and then the stroke style. What does the stroke style, the width do? I can increase or decrease the width. I can make it say 2.5. You can see that the width has now increased. It has become a thicker line. I can make it that 1.25, what we are using for the earlier figures. See, the line thickness has reduced so much now. Maybe this case, I believe, will make it look good. Yeah. Who is giving a reasonable choice of colors? To make this box dark, it's a solid line. These are dash lines. See, the dash part is coming. And you can then change the width of the dashes, say make it 2.5. And you can play around with the dashes accordingly and try to make figure more interesting and more visually attractive figures. Change the colors accordingly. There are a lot of things you can do. This is a very flexible software. That's all I'm trying to say. You can then start to fill. Once I start to fill it with a certain amount of color, I have to choose the design, and then the amount of shade, maybe the gradient, all these things you can do so easily. So all these nicely drawn figures that you come across in different kind of papers, books, everything, they are usually drawn with this kind of softwares only. So these are not very hard to draw and they make very nice figures. That's the important thing. Is it clear till now for everyone, or do you have any questions? Any of you? Okay. Yeah, Abhijit, is it okay for you? I hope Abhijit is there. Daksha, Soumya, is it okay for you?
Yes, sir. All good. Sir.
Okay, okay. Fine. So I believe it is okay for everyone. And okay, fine. I believe Abhijit is also able to hear me, and although I could not hear him replying back. So let's see. Yeah. So this is all with shapes and everything. So what have we done till now? Let me recap. We have first understood how to draw some basic straight lines. Even for straight lines, these line, dash, dots, all these things can be done. Let me show you. I draw a straight line. Say this. I can do whatever kind of dash, dot, all these things are possible. I hope you are able to see. Well, the line width is not very good for you to see. You will be able to appreciate it better now. So all these things are possible along with a marker, a start marker or maybe an end marker. All these things are possible. So what have we seen till now? Straight lines, how to change the line widthness, how to draw lines, how to edit line thickness by dragging it, or any shapes by dragging it. If you want to preserve the height and width ratio, that is the aspect ratio of your shape, suppose you want to preserve the square or a circle, you should either do the stretching by pressing Control or by the lock icon by locking the aspect ratio as Kevin had suggested. So either of these two you can use. Then we have seen how to alternately edit the lines by using the edit by nodes. So if it's a straight line in particular, you can very easily make the straight line edit by nodes and get over with it, because it does not in that case change the line width. Recall also for squares or circles, if you just stretch and enlarge it, the line width changes. I hope you are able to notice. See the line width here and the line width here. The line width has got much thicker now. So this is something you will have to keep in mind, or actually be vigilant that something like this can happen. And even on top of that, you can do a lot of things actually, because the moment I select, so what if suppose this is the figure and this is just showing that I put on this on top of it, and it is completely, the square below it is completely visible, right? So this is something of a feature that you can do. This changes the opacity of these shapes, and I can completely make it invisible or partially visible, make different shades out of it, and even blur things. You see the entire portion has got blurred now. So these are some of the things that makes it useful. This entire point has got blurred because of this.
You have to select it.
Correct. Correct. So without selecting this, it won't work. Correct. Thank you, Kevin. So these are all these features that you can use. You can even draw not full circles, but parts of the circle, or what is we call in geometry is an arc. So this is the point that start and end. So I say, suppose I can give whatever these are angles what I can suggest. So start at 0 and end at say 120. Okay, not 0.120. 120. So it automatically selects it as a segment, that is a closed shape within 2 radii. What is the type of this? Let's draw and find out. So you see it's part 120 degree, 0 to 120 degree. It calculates the angle from here to here. It defines the angles in anti-clockwise direction. And what is the shape of the figure? The pattern of the figure is this semicircular arc comes along with these lines which define the radial distance of the end points from the center. Now the fill is very obvious. I can control the fill. This thing, suppose I want only the arc to be there. I do not want these lines. You will notice that at this point, there are 2 variants of it. I can do this closed shape or this open shape. If I click on this circle, if this circle is selected, I can still change the mode. I do not have to redraw. Suppose this open mode is selected, this has got open. This, you can see from the center, the joining points are not there now. I again click back here, the joining points are again back. So all these things you can edit very easily between modes like this. There is also a third where it makes the shape of a whole ellipse. That is, you originally had it drawn of a small part, say a circle. I will define it, say 0 to 140 degree. Okay. And this is how the circle looks like. And suppose I want to see how the complete circle will look like. I will just have to click on it. It will complete the circle because it keeps the circle defined. This is the diametrically opposite position and this is the vertically opposite position what the circle would have passed through. And it automatically completes the circle. So these are very interesting things. And when within a circle, once it is a circle, what if I want to go back to our arc part? You can very easily do. You'll have to go into circle mode while selecting this and say I want it to from this point to this point. So roughly say negative 40 degrees to positive 50 degrees, say for example. So negative 40 to positive 50. You can see that this arc is created and I can choose whether it's a closed arc or an open arc. And this is the kind that will show for an open arc. And what if I want to get the circle back? Click it, the circle will be back. So these are very useful features of Inkscape that keeps on helping you to draw a lot of things on top of it. Is it okay? Everyone, can you follow until now? Okay. So these are mostly the kind of things that you will need. And there are also very commonly used feature of open hand drawing. That is, you want shapes which you cannot define very easily. So what if I want to say make a round shaped arrow pointing to something, say something like this. See, what have I done? I have selected this open mode or freehand mode and I will have to just click the start point, left click, do not release it, draw as you want, and where you want to stop, left click again. Release the left click, sorry. Release the left click. It will just end the figure. So what do you see? The figure is not at all very well. And it is supposed to be, you are drawing freehand. It depends on how the mouse moves. The mouse can move a bit fast and your hand may vibrate and the figure may go slightly wrong. So will you have to try to do this perfectly every time? Well, I try to do 1 or 2 more attempts. Well, the lines are not still okay. These are not getting very well. What should I do? Well, there is a feature called smoothing out. So this is the figure. Say, suppose this is the line which looks the closest to what I wanted to draw. And I want to smoothen it out. What do you need to do? You need to select it and press Ctrl L. And you can press it as many times as you want. I hope you can see that it is smoothing it out. Can you observe that has got smoothened? Right. And the same thing can be applied to this one also. You see that it has smoothed out it to be a very smooth line. And let me do the same thing here also. It will look very close to a smoothened line. Yes. And on top of this, you can now, once it is a line, you can do all the things that you do it on a line. Change line style, change line width. You can even put on markers. Well, let's put an end marker and see how it looks. Well, it looks good. Let's put an start marker. It looks good. What in this line? It looks reasonably okay. So all these lines, once they are smoothened out, the markers usually also come in at quite good points. Now, what if I have drawn a figure, say I have drawn an ellipse open-handed. Let me just show you. You may argue where is it needed, but it is sometimes needed to encapsulate, to enclose and show some figure, say something of this shape. I want to show, and I then smooth it out. Well, it has got over smoothened and it has become almost a circle. But that's not important. That is okay. But I will just show you one more feature. And let me just zoom in. Okay. So I will just draw another shape that has got actually over smoothened. And let me just change the line width to say 4. Okay, so this looks quite a bad shape and I slightly smoothen it out. Okay, this looks reasonable to me. But what happens is that this has started to got very sharp edges. If you can see, at some of the point it has got very sharp edges. Say at this point. There is also a way to control this. You go into this edit by nodes, you see it has defined several nodes out of these positions. And what you can do, once you click on a particular node, it defines how the trajectory meets at that node from either direction. That is, these lines, what are these lines? Can anyone anticipate at this point? What do these lines mean? I will give you a hint. These lines are drawn in such a way that it meets this curve exactly at that point. Then what can this line be? Can any of you using it? Sorry? Correct. It's the tangent. It's the tangent of this curve at this point from both the directions. Now, if it's a smooth curve, that is like this point where the curve on this side and this side are very similar at this point, the tangents are almost aligned with each other, which is not the case here. So once you start, what we can do is we can change the shape of the figure by shaping the slope of the tangent. I make the tangent too arbitrary, the figure changes randomly. So I control and try to align with the tangent. See, once the vertex becomes smoother, the two tangents on both the directions get more or less aligned. Now you can see at this point automatically, the moment I change the figure and make it aligned, this point again starts to look sharp. I again change this tangent and makes it more or less aligned. I go to this point that these tangents are almost aligned. This I can slightly try to realign. This is an alternate way where you can do marginally at some points of the figure if you want to smoothen out, and or if you want to de-smoothen, you want to give it some haphazard look especially. So you can control that with the tangent, that you want to draw something like this for some reason. I'm not saying this is something absolutely necessary, or you may very easily find an application where this can be needed. But just giving you an example that you can control anything. This is a very powerful tool, this freehand. If you know how to use the features of it, this is a very powerful tool. So is everyone okay with the freehand tool and how to control the shapes of freehand, smoothing out, and as well as using smoothing it out and using the tangents to control the shapes? Is it okay for everyone?
I like to add one more thing. Just
Yeah.
suppose when you select it, you can see that some predefined points are there. But suppose at you want to change it from some different where the point was not there. From that point, if you want to change, you can have just to double click over there, and you can get the point over there to control it. I mean, right now in the selected figure, you can see some 4 or 5 points are there.
Correct.
But suppose in between you want to change something, then you can just have to double click over there and you can get 1 point
Correct.
over it like that.
So
And
you
then
see,
you can change it from there.
yes. So you see, as of now, for example, this and this are the two corresponding nodes. For example, I want another node in between because I want to change the shape here. What I have to do, I have to click, select, keep the figure selected, go to this mode and double click here. It will introduce a node here. And then I can do again whatever I want to do manipulations using this point and the tangents associated. The moment you define a node, you automatically get two tangent slopes at that node, and that gives you more degrees of freedom to control the shape. That's all. So using this, if you feel you have over smoothened it out, you can always introduce new nodes and again try to slightly de-smooth it. That is an alternate way. So these are some things that you should practice and get a feel, and eventually you will get it will be quite helpful for you actually, because all of you are at some point of time will have to write a report or papers or these things, and this figure drawing is very common part of exercise for all these things. So irrespective of what you choose to do, these are some skills that you will always find useful in your life. So these are all to do with different kind of shapes and everything. So Kevin, I believe I have covered more or less everything regarding the shapes, right?
Yes.
So the only thing we have left now are the LaTeX part, how to write equations and everything. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So I will just briefly clear out these things. I will just, if you have to clear out something, just select it and delete. That's all. Nothing more. We'll clear out most of the things. Okay, let me just keep the box. And when to write equations, well, even if you want to write anything, this is the way to do. Create and edit text. So I write, so this is just a text editor. But what we usually find that for different purposes, we are more accustomed to using LaTeX when it comes to academic applications. And the font styles in the figures and in the main text, if they are not very similar, they do not match and do not look very well. So what I usually prefer is that even if you are not writing equations or anything, if you have to type it out, rather you write it in LaTeX, because if this figure is going to get in a LaTeX type software, the font styles match very nicely. So for that, what you need to do is you have to go to this extensions tab, and under this you will find this something called this text. So once you click on the text, it will take some time. It's an additional extension that loads, and it will open something similar to this window. You will find that this preamble file will be missing for your case. It will not show anything. What you will need to do is to click on this icon, and you will have to, you recall some time back I had shared with you a part of the code in the chat, this part of the code. This is what you need to save it as a text file, and that is the file which you need to select as the preamble file. Wherever you keep it, you just open this file explorer and locate that file, and that will be it. You keep it and you select that. It will gives you basically the packages that we most commonly need. Do understand that these are the packages, these are not exhaustive, in the sense that there are not packages outside this that you may need sometime. It depends on the application. What I have found is this tends to serve most of the purpose. But yeah, I will just reshare the code, don't worry. So I hope Yuvraj, you can see this code again. And what is tells you is that this code, this basically gives you the packages to compile the LaTeX code that you are going to type out. LaTeX basics that I do not want to go through. What do you see that the font size is unchanged? This and this has the same font size. It may look visually slightly different because of the italics nature, but these are this and these are of the same font size. I can put this on top of this, and you can see these are actually of the same height and width area. So this is how it is easier to create images or text of the same font size and be uniform throughout the figure. You may at sometimes need certain things to become slightly bigger, that you can always control. If you feel something will look better being slightly bigger compared to the rest of the figure, feel free to. It's a matter of visual judgment. There is no rule that everything has to be of the same font size. They should be similar. They should not be dissimilar. That's the most important thing. For example, the first line and the second line should not look like this or look like this. They should be more or less looking like this. That's all. These are the kind of things. And then once you start to put in LaTeX commands like to say matrices and everything, you already know how to write matrices, I believe. You know how to write matrices and these things, basic LaTeX things, everyone? Hello, I hope you are able to write it. Correct. So it's a very useful way to define between begin B matrix, end B matrix. And say I want to write a simple matrix. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, a 2 by 2 matrix. Say A is equal to begin and 1 ampersand 2. It puts 1 and 2 on the first row. Once the row is done, I have to define the next line 3 ampersand 4. The row wise it has to be defined. Did I do anything wrong in the text? Any of you, did I do anything wrong? It does not come in a matrix form. Is there any reason why it did not come? If you have used LaTeX quite comfortably, you should be able to say it. Well, the new line is actually defined by the backslash and not the slash. And that is the reason it was not identifying it as a line breaker. So now it has come it in the desired way as a matrix. I thought you would be able to say this modification. But anyway, if you feel like you are not yet very comfortable, start getting, because LaTeX is something you will need quite a lot in your postgraduate time. And now on top of this, if you want to say color, one of the particular things, say like 2 and 3 should be in red color. You can do all these things the way you do it in LaTeX. So slash text color is a very useful format. This text color red 3 and slash text color blue for 2 slash text color magenta for A. You see that all the colors starting to appear. These are just some LaTeX codes. This is something that you have to get familiar with LaTeX if you are not already. You can even use calligraphic fonts in the same way you use for LaTeX. And there's nothing different that you'll have to do here. So writing calligraphic fonts is to associate it with MathCal. This is the most common instruction, and A will look as a calligraphic. So it's a colored calligraphic font that I have used for at this point. And these are quite useful to write different kind of equations and everything. So suppose I have to write an equation that x dot is equal to ax plus bu, the state space equation. What do I do? Any of you, how to write x dot? So these are the ways to write. So either you people are disinterested or you are not yet very comfortable with LaTeX. So one way or the other, if you are feeling this session is not going very well, it's a different issue. Otherwise, start to get comfortable with LaTeX. You will need it quite frequently here as well as in your MTech time. So start getting comfortable. That's all I need to say. If you know these things, it's fine. But I guess you would have answered it if you had known. But anyway, let's hope for the best. And Kevin, did I miss anything? Is anything left, do you feel?
No, I think that's okay.
I think it is sufficient
Everything
to
was clear.
start off with for the course materials, right?
Yes.
These are the things we mostly need during this course for TA duty and all these things. These are the most common features they will have to use to draw figures. And were there any questions that you did not ask? If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, I'm coming to that. Regarding the figures, is there anything more? Regarding Inkscape, what I have shown till now, are there any issues? Any of you? Abhijit, are you there at all? Or?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so did you have any issues with what I have shown till now?
No, I don't have any issues. The only thing was that I was not able to replicate because it took a long time to actually unzip the file. But yeah, like I followed what you said.
Okay, so I believe Yuvraj has recorded the session or is in fact recording the session, and I hope he will be able to share with it. So you can try to replicate after the session as well. So, but these LaTeX things are quite, you are familiar with these things in LaTeX, right?
Yeah, like I was familiar with most of the things in LaTeX. The only thing is like I was not like I haven't used LaTeX for writing like state space equations anywhere. Like I'm in microelectronics, that's why. So that's why I missed that thing.
Oh, no. My state space equation is nothing very or anything. What I mean to say is in general some equations and everything.
Yeah. Like
So
whenever I'm stuck, I can easily Google stuff and I can do it. That's not an issue.
That is the biggest advantage being open source. You get a lot of help online. And so, well, once doing the figure, let me just show you. So this was the figure, suppose. And now when it comes to saving, you should always go to save as, and wherever you want to save, say I want to save it in my desktop and say trial. Always save it as Inkscape SVG. This is the file type. There are a lot of files. Always save it as Inkscape SVG. Then you will be able to edit it later very easily. Or whatever figure you draw, make sure you keep SVG or vector graphics. VG stands for vector graphics. This format, you should save it. Otherwise, later it becomes very painful to edit. You may not be even able to edit everything if it is not saved in SVG format. So what I do, I first save it in SVG. So this is the basic figure that gets saved. Now you may want the figure in PNG format. So now let me go save as, I put the same file name trial. And instead of SVG, I now select PNG. Is it okay? Now once I select PNG, let's see what it gives as output. I believe I have saved it in my desktop. And trial, okay, trial PNG has got created. Do you see any issues between these two figures? This was a figure and this is what has got saved. Do you find any correlation? Anything outside this box does not get saved. That's the important thing. Whenever you export it in any particular format, is it okay? This particular shape did not get replicated in the PNG file. It is there in the SVG, but unless you put it inside this dabba, it will not come in the exported figures like PNG or EPS or whatever you do. It by default exports this part. So say I delete this. Then this much is the figure. What it should do now, let me do file, save as. The same file I will just overwrite. Trial, where is trial? Okay, let me just type trial and I choose file type PNG. And it tells me, okay, file exists, okay, I replace. What do you see? It has saved along the boundary of that box. It's unnecessary filled with white space. I ideally would have needed only this much of the figure, right? The figure is this much. I would not need this white space. So what I should do, there is an alternate way to export these figures, especially in PNG. What you will do, you will go to here, file, export bitmap. Go to this option, export bitmap. And instead of page, you choose the export area. You choose as drawing. Once you choose as drawing, it automatically selects the boundary which only encompasses the drawings of the figure. And you increase the DPI. This is the how clarity you get in your picture. So I at this moment kept it at 600. It's reasonably well, 600 DPI. And I'll choose it by the file name, trial in my desktop only. And I once put export. It says that I should ideally replace. Okay. Now what you will find the difference is that it has only exported the part of the figure. Is it clear? Is it clear for all of you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So this is the thing. You can even do part of selection. That is, you can do a custom selection. All these features are possible. But you can choose any particular part by using the axis coordinates of the points. How much height, width, what amount do you want to save like this? You can play around with this. It is not something very hard. So the most commonly what we use is a drawing, and the alternate PNG is not sometimes very desired. What you should ideally save it is in EPS format. So trial, EPS is a very useful format when it comes to compilation in LaTeX. But I think, Kevin, most of these things, assignments will be compiled in LaTeX, right?
Yes, yes.
So while preparing figures for assignments, you should try to put your figures in EPS format. It becomes very easy to compile in LaTeX, EPS figures. These are very useful and editable formats. So once I select as EPS, it gives me what kind of postscript level. So postscript, these are the default selections. Make sure the resolution is set to a high DPI, that's all. And make sure this export area is drawing. This is selected. Don't select export area is page. Then it will export it properly in EPS format. The only problem with EPS format is I will probably not be able to show it to you because EPS in general does not open very simply. The EPS file will not open using the basic image opening. I think it sometimes opens with Chrome, but I'm not very sure.
I think Internet Explorer can open it.
Internet Explorer can open it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's check. Now it gives you a chance to re-download the file. So EPS is something Windows, but you can always open it, you can always put it in LaTeX to check it out, because eventually, so what I usually prefer, and I will tell you, if you want to see how the figure looks like and all these things, especially if you're working in Windows, you save it in PNG and check how it looks. So once I save it in PNG, I already had it saved. I know that it is going to look like this. And if I choose the same aspect ratio and the figure export area is drawing, I know that the same figure will come in LaTeX also, in EPS also. Then you save it in EPS. Once it is done, it is final. You save it in EPS and then you put it in the LaTeX program and compile accordingly. The advantage between PNG and EPS in LaTeX is that with EPS in LaTeX, you have got a lot of flexibility when you want to increase or decrease the size and a lot of other things that you will get clear once you start using LaTeX more often. EPS is a much more flexible format when it comes to configuration with LaTeX codes rather than PNG. PNG is a very kind of hard-coded format which may not be very flexible with LaTeX. So is it okay? All of you, do you have any more questions?
No, all good, all good.
Okay. So I believe each of you have found something useful in this session. So what I think is now to get yourself into it, I will just stop presenting. To get yourself into it, you should now start to yourself try to do some things. What I will do is, Kevin, over half an hour or so, we can give them to draw 1 or 2 figures, right?
Yes, that we can.
I think that's what Sir said, that we should just give them a small assignment kind of thing. And they should just be able to prepare it using Inkscape and show it to you, or they can show it to you, and based after that they can start working on the assignments and the exam papers, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I will just give you 1 or 2 figures to Kevin to share with you. He will share it with you. And basically you should be able to draw those things in Inkscape now that you have seen all these features. The most common things you should be looking at, one is obviously correctness of the what you are drawing. That is absolutely important. There is no compromise with it. What is not so often checked but it is needed is like the quality of the diagrams. See, while you are drawing it with Inkscape, why are you drawing it with a software rather than drawing it with hand? Any of you? Why do we use such a software and do not draw it by hand on a piece of paper and then take a photo and upload it? Why do we choose such a software? Yeah, Vijay.
Sir, it's about aesthetics.
Because of aesthetics, because of it that the drawing by hand may not look very nice. The line widths may not be good, the straight lines may not be very good, and all those things associated with human error, which can be resolved while doing it in a computer-aided drawing system. So you should not try to compromise with that when you are doing it here also. So do not try to do a very shoddy job when you are drawing it in Inkscape, because the purpose gets defeated. If I do not do a good image in Inkscape, there is no point in putting that effort. I could have made a bad figure with my hand also. Someone who does not know someone who cannot draw well can also make a bad picture. So what is the point of using such a complicated software and learning it? To make good diagrams. So while making diagrams, we also make sure aesthetics and all these things, that the line width should be uniform. Now uniform does not mean they should be absolutely, you will select this line and make this thickness say 10. This is what you do, and you make all the line segments of this kind of width. No. You should make obviously all the lines uniform, and at the same time the lines, they should look good. The line thickness should not be something disproportionate compared to the other things in the figure. So everything should look quite aesthetic. What does aesthetic effectively? By aesthetic I mean that things should be uniform and look pleasing to your eyes. If I put a very bad choice of colors, say something very light blue, something like this, are you able to at all see the more boundaries?
No, your screen is not shared.
You are not even able to see the boundaries.
No, hello, Kaustubh.
Screen is not shared, I think.
Your screen is not shared.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I hope you are able to see.
Yes, now it is visible.
So if I make this color to be this kind, it was originally say something like this. So this line thickness, it's not at all looking good. On top of it, say I make the color something like this. I choose a very flamboyant color and eventually it messes up even the visibility. It somehow makes the visibility too poor. So something like this. It's not at all desirable. So you should be keeping these things in mind while making the diagrams, that they should be, first of all, they should be correct. What has been, what you are drawing should be what is expected. And the next thing is you should be doing, while drawing figures and everything, try to make it neat and aesthetic as much as possible. That is something. So Kevin, I will just send you 2-3 figures over WhatsApp. You are there on a WhatsApp group or anything?
Yeah, we have that.
Okay, so I will WhatsApp you, Kevin, some 2-3 figures, screenshots of 2-3 figures, and they can try to do those things.
One more thing I like to add is that for this course, we might use some electrical symbols, some resistor, inductor, capacitor.
Right.
I so
forgot. Yes.
yeah. So that file also will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
If you can just show it, that will be good.
You are absolutely right. The only thing is I will have to locate where that file is in my computer. I tend to forget that.
The name is electrical symbols.
हाँ नहीं क्या करता हूँ मैं उसको एक बार डाउनलोड कर
Anyway, I have that file, so I can share it.
Yes. So if you extract it, you will find another file inside it called electrical symbols. It will be there. Just a minute. Let me just stop sharing and let me just find out. It will take a couple of minutes. It is there in my computer. I just have to check where it is.
So by the time
okay, just one thing, like the link which you have shared, like the file the folder which we extracted, it has this electrical symbols library.svg. I think that is sufficient.
Yes, it already has that. I am using it in a different. I am not using that that version what I had shared with you. In the sense that is not accessible to me. I had done that from the lab PC. I do not now want to download and re-extract. It will be somewhere in my PC.
Okay.
So that is the reason I am just searching for it once.
Kevin, just one thing. So like, do we have to move this SVJ file into some particular location in the Inkscape text portable folder?
No, we can save it. We can save it.
No. You need to keep it somewhere. That's all. I will just show you. Just a minute.
Okay.
Let me just locate where it is in my PC. That's all I need to do.
So if you're talking about that folder, so you can keep it anywhere. So
you only need to remember where you have kept it.
Any of your drive, there is no issue with that. It will work. And one more thing, like if you have two figures and two different files are there, but you want to copy some part of one figure and paste it to another figure, then you can do it. You can just simply select it, copy it and paste it to some other file. So that is also possible. That you already did some drawing in one file and you want part of it in another file, you can just simply select it, copy it and paste it. So that's why we said that electrical symbol, that SVG file with you. So you can just simply select it, copy it and paste it in another drawing.
Right. So that is actually very helpful. Okay, I have found it. Let me present the screen now. I will just show it to you. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, so once you open, all you need to do is just open that file using that Inkscape. That you first open Inkscape, something like the blank thing will come. This is the window that will come. You will just need to go to File, Open, and open wherever you have clicked kept that file, and eventually it will open something like this. So what it gives, it's a library of most commonly used electrical symbols. So these are here: resistance, inductors, capacitors, transformers with dot convention, transistors, diodes. What it is very simple. Select something, copy, Control C. Remember that this SVG file is also a drawing. Someone has got through the pain of creating these shapes and has made it available for me. And I can paste it here. So this diode has come. Let me, for example, try to put this transformer and say a source. Just I'm doing something absolutely random. Say a AC source. Bas. That's all. This is a figure, and what I want to do, I want to make a circuit where there is a transformer is connected to a single phase circuit, and the secondary of the transformer is connected just through a diode. So what I need to do, I have put the components, copied and pasted it in this diagram. Now I just have to draw it with lines. Actually, Kevin, it's a very good thing you have remembered. Otherwise, I would have forgotten about it.
Yeah, after this, one more thing, if I forget about this grouping and degrouping, just introduce.
Okay, we shall come to it. Yeah.